Another season and another video about the most overrated players throughout the league. You knew it was coming. Now, in case this is your first time tuning in, we're going to be going over a handful of players that, for various reasons, are among the most overrated in the NHL. We'll go over things such as general hype, contracts, and obviously, on-ice performance. And with that, here are the top 5 most overrated players currently in the NHL. Most of us hockey fans can recall the buzz that Lafreniere created prior to his draft date in 2020. As a forward, after notching points in the triple digits on multiple occasions in the queue during his junior days, was once compared to Sidney Crosby. However, after making his NHL debut, it became increasingly clear that Lafreniere wasn't going to be in the running for the Calder as number 87 once was, but rather far from it. During his rookie campaign, Lafreniere went from being a first-line center for Rimouski to assuming the wing position on the third line. After finally netting a goal in his 7th game last season, the former first overall pick recorded 21 points in 56 games played last campaign. Currently slotted in on the third line for the Rangers, number 13 has recorded 5 points in his first 18 games played on the season. Even though he's young and obviously has tons of time to prove everyone wrong, one has to surmise that after all of the hype that followed the forward into the NHL, he's come up short, at least for the time being. I mean, could we really make a video with this title and not include Seth Jones? After making his way over to the Windy City this past summer and scoring a lucrative deal with the Hawks, the defenseman, unfortunately, has become the epitome of what it means to be overrated. Don't get me wrong, however, Jones has still proven to be productive on the offensive side of things, as he's been close to a point-per-game player thus far this season. However, if you look at his stats closely, you'll quickly realize the same trend that he had in CBJ, as in most of his points come off of the power play. Jones has most importantly struggled in his own end, which isn't a good look when you're looked at as a two-way defenseman. Therefore, looking at his egregious contract that has yet to take effect, valued at $9.5 million AAV, I have a feeling that this label isn't going to go away from number 4's shoulders anytime soon. And for the lone goalie on this list, Grubauer made the cut in this scenario. After having a stellar season last campaign with Colorado, while sporting a .922 save percentage and a 1.95 goals against average, Grubauer finished as a finalist for the Vezina Trophy. But unfortunately, after scoring a fresh 6-year, $35 million contract, the German Tendy has seemed like a shell of his former self between the pipes. Now, obviously, yes, he switched teams, Seattle's a new franchise, etc., etc. Okay, the team as a whole hasn't been great, but even still, looking at a goalie such as Marc-Andre Fleury, for instance, who's on an obviously terrible team, his numbers have still had a turnaround despite being in for a bottom feeder in the Central. And when there's the workload aspect of it, as Grubauer has been in net for all but 3 Kraken contests so far, 18 games in, one might presume that, at first glance, that sporting a .882 save percentage and a 3.18 goals against average might have something to do with being overworked. Last season, however, when number 31 was having what many deemed a Vezina-worthy season, he appeared in 40 games out of 56. Therefore, even though the season is still early at this point in time, Grubauer, in my mind, is the most overrated Tendy to speak of. Similarly to their start of last season, the Vancouver Canucks haven't lived up to expectations early on in this campaign, and at the forefront of the criticism in BC is none other than the newly minted $7.3 million man, Elias Petterson. After holding out for what turned out to be a 3-year bridge deal, Petterson has appeared uninterested, abysmal, and all in all, far from the Calder recipient we saw of 2019. As we know, number 40 is largely paid to produce offensively, and so far, he's struggled immensely to do so. Within his last 5 games, for instance, Petterson has recorded a single assist within and has since been removed from the first power play unit. The team as a whole has definitely been due for some soul searching, but since cashing in, Petterson has still given us plenty of reasons to deem him as overrated. Yes, we are doing this. Recently, Ryan Whitney on Spit and Chicklets brought up an interesting topic and went around the room asking out of either William Nylander or Mitch Marner at their respective contract values, which one they would choose if only one could be a Toronto Maple Leaf. Unsurprisingly, the consensus was William Nylander at $6.9 million AAV instead of Mitch Marner at $10.9. As coming into the 2021-2022 campaign, Marner, when going by cap hits, is the 7th highest paid player on the season out of the entire league. To put this into perspective just a little, the forward makes over $1 million more a season than players such as Leon Draisaitl, Nikita Kucherov, and Alex Ovechkin, who have all signed deals within or after 2019 when Marner signed his. During the regular season, when healthy, Marner has proven to be close to a point-per-game player, which semi-justifies paying him an 8-figure salary. However, in the postseason is when the question marks tend to set in, as Marner hasn't scored a playoff goal since 2019 and has made some questionable choices on ice that have given fans the needed fuel required to expect more from number 16.